Hello YouTube, and welcome to this exciting video tutorial. I am going to show you 5 techniques that you can use to scratch on Virtual DJ version 8.0 and up, but some of these techniques are also available in versions below that. This one, you're going to love it. Let's jump right into it. I have prepared some songs. This is a list of songs that I want us to go through and use them to show you the techniques. Technique number 1 is using the jog wheel. The jog wheel, as you know, is this kind of circle, this kind of a plate that is virtual. We call them decks, others call them discs. Once you load your song, you're going to see it run around the deck or around the disc or the jog wheel. So I'm going to load one song, for instance this summer song, and I'm going to make sure that this is the start of that song. When you're playing a song, you might decide to scratch it as it starts, or you might scratch it while it plays. You might also decide to scratch it while another song is playing. There are so many ways you can be creative in trying to bring out the scratch. You need to try to be creative in your scratches. So let's go straight and do the scratch that I have told you. I have loaded a song here. The name is Summer. These songs I've downloaded from a website that has made them available online for free. So I'm going to do a scratch using the jog wheel. There is a simple technique here. We are going to use the trackpad. Sometimes if you don't have the trackpad, you can use your keyboard, your mouse, in your PC. If you use your finger, don't move it too much. You just try to move it in certain angles to make the slightest of the movements so that you can do the scratch much better. I'm going to do one with moving my finger first across the trackpad, and then another one I'll try to move it slowly, and I want you to listen to the kind of scratch that comes out of that, and maybe you might prefer one to the other, so I am going to show you both of them either way. Let's go and do it. First, you use your left mouse button and click on the jog wheel so that you lock onto it before you start holding the trackpad or the mouse, or whatever, if you're using the mouse, before you start moving the mouse. Alright, so let's do it. Click on the jog wheel and then start scratching with your finger. Notice where there is no audio available, like if I move this track backwards to a place where there is no audio that is audible to you, you're not going to get any scratch around that area. Watch. A scratch happens where there is audio that is playing on the background or on a certain track. It's simply moving a voice back and forth. That is what gives you the scratch. So when you see that we don't have an audible audio in a certain place, don't try to scratch it, because nothing will come out of it. So you should make sure it's at a point where there is audible audio, as you can hear. So there I know I can scratch and I can get the scratch. So listen, the first one, I'll move my finger across using a large, I'll move it over longer distances compared to the second one, which I'll move it a little bit on my trackpad. Compare the difference. I hope you can see well. That is the long scratch. and there is this one which is very helpful, but you have to start by trying to know how much you need to move back and forth. So you first give it a try like this. Once you have mastered the distance, you can try to be faster. That one will give you some kind of scratching effect that feels more like the real turntable, because the real turntable is analog and it is easier to move. You move it at distances which you can understand, but with your trackpad, the sensitivity of the trackpad and the level of the distances that you make on the trackpad or the mouse, they won't be accurate as compared to the analog jog wheel on a real turntable. So here you try to do that kind of practice, then you scratch it. Once you've mastered the other songs, you won't be having problems. You'll always be moving them, and when you're scratching, you know exactly the distance that to scratch some kind of pattern. You can move back and forth, move back, forth, back. The patterns that you might feel like they give you the right thing. It's all about creativity. No one has a specific way of scratching. We all do it differently. Mine is to show you how to do it. Let's move on to the next one. The next kind of scratching, we're going to use the vertical scratch waveform area. This one here. This area will give you a better way of handling the scratches. If you compare this side of the jog wheel, it has no parameters. It has no line that shows you where the song is at. Most of the times I usually use the waveform area up here to see my scratches, which is too much. I'm scratching over here and I'm looking over here. That one gives me a kind of inaccurate way of scratching. But when I'm using this side of the scratch, I enjoy it because it gives me much more accurate scratches, because scratches is all about good timing and accurate scratching. You move, you scratch them like using the tempo of that song. You scratch into the tempo. You don't scratch out of the tempo. If a song is fast, you scratch fast. It's like you divide the beat by 2, you multiply it by you scratch using the tempo. At some point, you don't make offbeat scratches. Scratches should always follow the tempo. So let's listen to a scratch using the vertical scratch. I like using it to scratch the first scratch as I release a song. It gives me a good impression. I'm going to try to song and get the tempo, literally. Now the tempo is in my head. Now I'm going to imagine I've been playing over the same tempo, so the tempo is in my head. So I'll try to scratch it and I'll try to play it. So to play it and then to scratch it and then release it to play, you hold on to the song using the left mouse button and then you play using the space bar. If you have not changed your settings, I'm using the default settings on Virtual DJ, so you play. Now if I release this left mouse button, the song is going to start playing immediately. But now because I'm holding on to it, I can make a scratch, and once the scratch is done, I can release to give that song some kind of good start. Now please listen. I'm going to do that again. So that is scratching using the scratch area. The scratch technique number 3 is using the presets that are in that come pre-installed in Virtual DJ. Right here towards the pads area, you're going to notice a drop down list which can be accessed from here. If you access this drop down list, you can select the scratch option. There might be other options which we usually use, so I select the scratch and I'm going to get a list of 8 scratch presets which can be edited if you right click them, which I don't do, so I just use them without trying to alter what they do, because I've never tried to do it. So once you have this list of 8 presets, you proceed to your song and set it correctly. These ones can scratch it whether it's playing or not. So once you have loaded your song or your track, come back here and try to use any of these. I'm going to use all of them. I am going to use all of them and show you the kind of impression they give. As you've heard about these, they are very accurate and they have been designed to follow the tempo of the song. So for instance, if I want to play a song, I will just give it an intro like this, scratch number 3. I will try maybe give it a scratch, then I play. I scratch it using the left mouse button. I scratch it, then play. That's much better, right? Because this one is a preset and it has been made specifically to follow the tempo of the song, it gives you a more accurate scratch, but you have to have a good timing, because if you play it, you press on it when the song is, you time the beats, you press it when there is a beat. Like if there is a kick, you follow the kicks, doom doom doom, you press it during that kick. That is how you make them more accurate and more appealing. When you listen to them, you'll feel like this guy knows what he's doing, although they are presets. Now we are going to look at the scratch technique number 4. Scratch technique number 4 is one that was introduced and many people don't, and many of them don't use it, but very many professional DJs use this, and this is a technique that I can say that this was the surprise technique, because this one is in the settings and you can customize it the way you want and give yourself a better scratching experience. You're going to feel that this is the most advanced form of scratching. The only problem is that you cannot scratch while the song or the track is playing on the decks, so you can only scratch it when the song is at the stop position or a paused position. So this one is very important, it's very useful. You should try this one. Don't leave this out. It should be your first tool and you should not ignore it. So let's go right and check on it and show you what it does and how it's done. So from here you move up there to the top right corner and see the settings icon. You click on it. I can call it an icon or button, I don't know which one you prefer. So this button, you click on it and then you go to controllers. On this list you go to controllers. This is a very sensitive place and I want you to be very careful. You should not touch any of these unless you understand what you are doing. Go here to the key and click right there. Once you click right there, here you select the button that you want to give you a certain action. For instance, here we are going to set a back spin, that is scratching backwards by 120 milliseconds. So let's do it. I want to set D, key D here, this this keyboard button. I want to set it to scratch backward by 120 microseconds, or sorry, milliseconds. So I will press D. Now D is ready for the action that you're going to give here. What action do you want D to do? I want D to scratch backwards, which is a negative 120 milliseconds. That is all done. You don't need to do anything else. You go back up there, you click on the key box again and press another key which you want to set the option. I want to set G. Don't know whether you can see G is right here. Now you can see D is gone. So I'm going to set G to do what action? To scratch. How many milliseconds? I want to scratch forward, but this time I want it to scratch plus 120 milliseconds. Once you are done, up there on the top right corner of the settings or the configuration, and click here. This is for saving, and once you have saved, it's all done. If you scroll right here, you'll see down there the two controls that you have given, they have been saved. And make sure that the buttons that you use are not used for other functions in this list. For instance, don't use S because it's used to stop a song. P is used to play or pause. The F1 to F9, the F1 to, it's F1 to F12, all of them. So make sure that I would actually prefer that you use D and G for this kind of task. Now let's go back and see what's the effect. I'm going to scroll and make sure the song is at some point that I can do something. So let me press G and see whether it's going to scratch 120 milliseconds forward. That happened, right? Let's continue. G is scratching 120 milliseconds, right? Alright, let's do D. Alright, now you can set the duration the way you want. It's according to your preference. Let's go back. This time set it to 200 milliseconds, right? D. You will just change. If you use D, you'll see the action pop up, and you just change this one to 200. and then click here, G, change it to 200, then save, and then close. Come back here and try to see if it happens. Nice, 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 nice. So I'm going to move to 1 bit and try to use the two of them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I'll use them simultaneously and try to give some kind of pattern. It will depend on the scratch speed where you want. Also in this case, observe here that I like using the middle finger. Reason is this button here, C, is used to cue. So I need to cue that song. For instance, let me stop the song. I need to cue the song. Then I play it. Observe that when you are doing this technique, make sure that the button that you started with is not the one that you end with if you're using the cue. So observe this. So that is it about scratching using those shortcuts. You should try it. It's interesting, it's amazing. One more shortcut and one more technique to scratch using Virtual DJ. There is that scratch that you can't do using Virtual DJ, and someone has done it using a turntable. You can always download that effect and add it as a sound effect. Another way, if you can't add it as a sound effect, you can just play it as a song. So I'm going to use one of the scratches that I got somewhere. Let's listen to it. Let me move the crossfader to the middle. So I'm going to make sure that this scratch here is kind of synced to this song, and then I'm going to try to do like give it a more weight, then play the song, and I'm going to try to play the scratch using the cue this time. I'll hold to cue, which is C here or here, or the cue here on the turntable, on the deck of Virtual DJ, and then play the song. Please listen and follow. Kindly look for scratches that are more like following some kind of a tempo, because this one doesn't seem to be too much following any form of tempo. So this one, maybe you can use it trying to start a song. For instance, I can time to play this song and then play the scratch, and then when the scratch is done, I play the song. That is it. You've heard the difference. This effect is very useful, especially if you give it you load it at a place like in your sampler. It will be able to be loaded from any of the function buttons from F1 to F12, but that is a technique that we don't use anymore, because we have scratches like these ones, the presets. So guys, that is all I had today, and I hope you learned something today. Kindly follow, subscribe, and like our videos. Comment on anything that we have done may be wrong. We are going to correct in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. See you in the next one. Thank you.